You won't believe. Family disowned me because I stopped financing my sister, so they sold my car that they bought me earlier and wanted to make me pay her education. I'll never forget the day my parents told me they were done with me. Not in a subtle, passive-aggressive way, they announced it loud and clear, as if the neighbors needed to know what a terrible son I was. It started with my sister, Isabella. She's 17, smart, and ambitious, but also entitled in a way I can't really describe. For the past 2 years, I've been paying for a lot of her stuff: new clothes, a fancy laptop, extra tutoring. My parents had the idea that since I was making good money at 22, it was my job to make sure Isabella had everything she wanted. I didn't mind at first. I love my sister, and helping her felt natural. But over time, the demands grew. Suddenly, it wasn't just about helping her out here and there. I was expected to pay for her college. That's when I drew the line. College is your responsibility, I told them. I've helped enough. I need to save for my own future. That one sentence unleashed hell. You're abandoning your own sister? My mother screamed. After all we've done for you? Then my dad chimed in. You've always been greedy, haven't you? We should have known we were raising a selfish son. What a mistake you turned out to be. That stung more than I thought, but what came next was worse. If you won't help Isabella, we'll make sure she gets what she needs, my father said. We'll sell the car we gave you. That car. A used Honda they'd bought me for my 21st birthday. I was supposed to be forever grateful for it, apparently. The thing is, the car was registered in my father's name. I knew I had no legal claim to it, but the idea of them taking it to pay for my sister felt like a slap in the face. I tried to reason with them, but it was no use. A few days later, I woke up to an empty driveway. The car was gone. When I confronted them, they didn't even bother to hide it. We sold it, my mom said, crossing her arms like she was proud. The money goes to Isabella. You'll thank us when you stop being so selfish. I wasn't surprised, but it still hit me hard. I had worked hard for my money. I could afford another car if I needed one, but it wasn't about that. It was the principle. It was just the beginning of the madness. I thought losing the car would be the worst of it, but I was so wrong. After the car was gone, I decided to keep my head down and let things blow over. Maybe they'd realize how unfair they were being and come around. But that didn't happen. Instead, things escalated. A few nights later, during dinner, my dad dropped the bomb. We're tired of you living in this house and thinking you can dictate what you will and won't do, he said. You're going to help pay for your sister's education, all right? My fork froze in the air. I told you I can't. I've helped enough already. College is your responsibility, not mine. You're 22. You have a job. Do you think we raised you so you could hoard all your money while your sister struggles? My mother snapped. She's your family. You don't get to just say no. The way they talked, it was like I wasn't even a person, just a wallet with a heartbeat. I looked at Isabella, hoping for some sign that she felt bad about all this, but she just stared at her plate like she was waiting for dessert. I'm not paying for college, I said again, trying to stay calm. I've done enough. You can't keep expecting me to fix everything. My father slammed his hand down on the table. If you're going to live under our roof, you're going to do what we say. Either you contribute to Isabella's education, or you can pack your bags and leave. This hit me harder than I wanted to admit. I'd been saving up to move out, but I wasn't quite there yet. Rent in this city wasn't cheap, and I didn't want to blow all my savings on a rash decision. But the idea of being kicked out for refusing to support my sister's life was unreal. The worst part? Isabella finally spoke up. I just don't understand how you can be so greedy, she said, looking at me like I'd killed her puppy. I'm your sister. Don't you want me to succeed? Something inside me snapped. I've helped you for years, I said, my voice sharp. I've paid for more of your things than I can count. But it's never enough for either of you, is it? You take and take, and then you call me greedy when I say no? Unbelievable. My parents didn't even flinch. My dad just repeated the ultimatum. If you don't do your part, you're out. This is still our house, not yours. I agreed to contribute. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed time to figure out my next move. I told myself it was just a temporary concession. But the next day, they hit me with another surprise that made me angrier than I thought possible. The morning after our explosive dinner, I woke up to a text message from my dad. It was a simple message. Family meeting. 10 a.m. living room. I already had a bad feeling. When I walked in, they were all there, my parents on the couch, Isabella sitting cross-legged in the chair. My father didn't waste any time. We've decided on a fair amount for your contribution, he said. I frowned. What contribution? For Isabella's college fund. He replied as if it were obvious. You agreed to help. I couldn't believe it. You mean after you sold my car without telling me? My mother rolled her eyes. We did it for Isabella. Don't make it sound like punishment. You're still living under our roof, eating our food, using our utilities. It's the least you can do. Okay, I said carefully. What's the amount? $10,000. My father said. I actually laughed out loud. You're kidding, right? $10,000? Where am I going to get that? You have savings. My mother said matter-of-factly. You always talk about how responsible you are with money. Now is the time to prove it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So let me get this straight. You want me to hand over 10 grand for Isabella's college fund on top of everything else I've already done? Yes, my father said firmly. And you're going to do it by the end of the month. I stood there, staring at them, waiting for one of them to laugh or say they were joking. But they just stared back at me as if this was the most normal conversation in the world. Isabella, for her part, didn't even look embarrassed. She just sat there scrolling through her phone like it was no big deal. This isn't happening, I finally said. There's no way I'm giving you $10,000. You agreed to help. My mom snapped. Help, yes, I said. But this is insane. Do you even hear yourselves? You're treating me like a walking ATM. My father stood up, trying to look impressive. You'll do it or find somewhere else to live. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Fine. You want me out? I'm out. You won't see a penny from me. Then I turned to Isabella. And you? Don't ever ask me for anything again. If that's what family means to you, we're done. The room fell silent. My father's face was red, my mother was furious, and Isabella just stared at me as if I'd betrayed her. But I didn't care anymore. I packed a bag that night and left. I didn't even know where I was going. I just drove until I found a cheap motel on the outskirts of town. The next morning I woke up to a series of texts from my parents, calling me ungrateful, selfish, a disgrace to the family. Isabella had also texted me, saying she was shocked at how greedy I was. I blocked everyone except my grandparents. They were the only ones in the family who ever treated me like I mattered. That afternoon I went out and bought a new car. A better one, actually a sleek Toyota Camry that I'd had my eye on for months. It was the first time in years that I'd spent money on something just for me. It felt like freedom. The day after I bought the car, I finally started to feel like myself again. I drove around town with the windows down, blasting music and trying to let go of the chaos my parents had thrown at me. I had no intention of going home or talking to them anytime soon. But later that night, as I was about to get dinner, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. We need to talk. It's important. It didn't take a genius to figure out it was my dad. I ignored it. A few minutes later, another text arrived. I'm serious. There's something you need to know. I rolled my eyes and put the phone down. Whatever guilt trip he was planning wasn't going to work. The next morning, I found an envelope slipped under the door of my motel room. There was no name on it, just my room number scrawled in black marker. I opened it cautiously, expecting a passive-aggressive letter or a demand for money. Instead, I found a single piece of paper. It was a bank statement. My dad's name was at the top, and at first I couldn't figure out why he'd sent it to me. But then I saw the transactions. It wasn't just my car that had been sold. There were deposits from what looked like multiple sources. My parents had liquidated things. Furniture, jewelry, even some tools from my dad's workshop. The total added up to more than $25,000. But that wasn't the shocking part. At the bottom of the statement was a withdrawal for almost the entire amount. The recipient was a name I didn't recognize, Ethan Calloway. My stomach sank. Who the hell was Ethan Calloway? And why had my parents given him all that money? I went straight to my grandparents' house. They welcomed me in like nothing was wrong, and for the first time in days, I felt like I had someone on my side. Over coffee, I showed them the bank statement and asked if they knew anything about it. My grandfather squinted at the paper and shook his head. I don't know any Ethan Calloway. Did you ask your parents? I snorted. They're the last people I want to talk to right now. But they slipped this under my door, so they clearly want me to know something. My grandmother's face darkened. I'd be careful if I were you. Your father has been hiding things for years. He's not as honest as he pretends to be. What do you mean? I asked, leaning forward. She hesitated, looking at my grandfather as if she wasn't sure how much to say. Let's just say he's made some questionable choices in the past. He's lucky your mom always had his back. It wasn't very comforting. Before I left, my grandfather told me something else that stuck with me. If they're trying so hard to drag you back in, it's because they need you for something. Don't let them manipulate you. I didn't know what to believe anymore, but I was sure of one thing: my parents weren't done with me yet. I couldn't stop thinking about that name, Ethan Calloway. Something about the whole situation felt wrong. Why would my parents sell everything, including my car, just to give $25,000 to a stranger? I didn't want to confront them, but curiosity got the better of me. I called a friend of mine, Ben, who works in real estate and has a knack for finding information on people. I sent him the name and asked if he could dig up anything. A couple of hours later, Ben called me back. Got something weird, he said. Ethan Calloway's registered address is about an hour out of town. He's in his late 20s, no criminal record, but here's the kicker: he has the same last name as your dad. I froze. What? Yeah. Same spelling and everything. I thought it might be a coincidence, but it's not a very common last name. I hung up, my head spinning. If Ethan was related to my dad, why had I never heard of him? And why were my parents secretly giving him so much money? Against my better judgment, I decided to go to the address Ben had found. It was a small house in a quiet neighborhood, nothing fancy. I sat in the car for a while, debating whether or not to knock. But then the door opened and a guy came out. He was tall, maybe late 20s, with dark hair and sharp features that looked eerily familiar. He saw me sitting in my car and raised an eyebrow, like he was trying to figure out if he knew me. I got out and walked over to him. Ethan? I asked. Yeah. Who's asking? I'm Austin. My dad is Marcus, he said, finishing my sentence. My heart sank. You know him? Ethan crossed his arms. Know him? He's my father. I felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me. What are you talking about? Marcus is my dad. Ethan laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yeah, well, he's mine too. I guess he didn't tell you about me, huh? I didn't know what to say. My father had another son? This guy standing in front of me was my half-brother? Look, Ethan said. I don't know what you're doing here, but if you came to yell at me about the money, save it. Your dad gave it to me because he owes me. It's none of your business. What do you mean he owes you? I asked. He shook his head. I don't owe you an explanation. Talk to Marcus if you want answers. Before I could say anything else, he walked back inside and slammed the door. I drove away, my mind racing. My father had a secret son. He'd been hiding it from me, from my mom, from everyone, or so I thought. When I got back to the motel, I had another text from my dad. We need to talk. Come home. This time I didn't ignore it. I called him, and when he answered, I didn't waste any time. "Who the hell is Ethan Calloway?" There was a long pause. Then my dad sighed. "It's complicated." "No," I snapped. "It's simple. You have another son, and you've been hiding him." "Why?" "You don't understand," he said. "Ethan, he's part of a mistake I made a long time ago. But he's family, just like you and Isabella. That's why I'm helping him." "Helping him with my car and everything else you sold?" I yelled. "You don't get it," he said, his voice rising. "I've been trying to make things right, to make up for the past. But you're too busy being selfish to see the bigger picture." That was it. I'd had enough. "I'm done, Dad. Done with you, done with this family, done with everything. Don't contact me again." Then I hung up. After I hung up on my father, I felt a mixture of anger and relief. I wanted nothing to do with him, or the mess he made. But as much as I wanted to move on, the whole situation kept gnawing at me. Who exactly was Ethan, and what had my father done that he felt the need to sell everything to make things right? I didn't have to wonder for long. A few days later, a thick envelope arrived at the motel. The handwriting on the front was unmistakably my dad's. I almost threw it in the trash. Whatever excuses he had, I didn't care. But something made me open it. Inside was a stack of papers, a mix of old letters and more recent documents. At the top was a handwritten note. "Austin, you have every right to be angry with me, but I need you to understand. Read this, and then you can decide if you ever want to talk to me again." "Dad." I set the note aside and began to leaf through the papers. The first was a faded handwritten letter from over 20 years ago. It was from Ethan's mother. "Marcus, I'm writing because I think you deserve to know. I'm pregnant. I didn't plan this and I'm not asking for anything, but I thought you should have the choice to be involved." The letter went on, but I could barely process it. My father had known about Ethan from the beginning and had chosen to ignore it. The next documents were old court records. Ethan's mom had apparently tried to get child support when he was a toddler, but my dad had fought it and won. It looked like he had convinced the court that he wasn't Ethan's father. But the most shocking thing came at the bottom of the pile, a recent paternity test. My dad had finally taken the test, and of course it confirmed that Ethan was his son. Beneath the test results was another note from my father. "I should have done the right thing years ago, but I was too selfish and scared. Ethan's mother died last year and he reached out to me. I'm trying to make up for what I did, but it's not enough. I can't expect forgiveness, but I had to try." I sat there staring at the papers, feeling like my world had been turned upside down. My dad had built a life for himself, pretending Ethan didn't exist while Ethan and his mom struggled on their own. And now he wanted to fix everything with money, my money too. My phone buzzed, pulling me out of my thoughts. It was a text message from Isabella. "I can't believe you're still being so selfish. Dad's just trying to do the right thing and you're making it all about you." That was the last straw. I called her, and as soon as she picked up I let go. "Selfish? Are you kidding me? Do you even know what's going on, or are you just parroting what Mom and Dad told you?" "Dad explained everything," she said. "You're just mad because you won't help." "Help? Isabella, our dad abandoned his own son for decades, and now he's screwing over the rest of us to make himself feel better. And you think I'm the problem?" She said nothing for a moment. Then, quietly, "Ethan is our brother. Doesn't he deserve something?" I couldn't believe it. "You don't get it, do you? This isn't about Ethan. It's about Dad trying to fix his guilt by dragging everyone else down with him. I'm done. With him, with this family, with all of it." Then I hung up. I didn't talk to anyone in my family after that phone call with Isabella. Not for days, not for weeks. I needed time to think, to process everything I'd learned. But no matter how much time passed, one thing became crystal clear: I couldn't keep them in my life. My father's betrayal wasn't just about Ethan. It was about the years of manipulation, the endless demands, and the way he always seemed to twist the truth to suit his own needs. My mother and Isabella weren't much better. They'd gone along with everything, treating me like I was the bad guy for finally standing up for myself. I wrote a letter to my father. It wasn't long, just a few sentences. Dad, I've read everything, and I get it now. You're not trying to make things right, you're just trying to assuage your guilt. You've destroyed your relationships with everyone else to do it, and I refuse to be a part of it. Consider this my last communication with you. I'm done. Austin. I didn't wait for an answer. I changed my phone number and moved out of the motel into a small apartment closer to work. I made sure they didn't have my address, and I blocked them all on social media. For a while I was angry. Not just at my dad, but at myself for not seeing it sooner. But eventually the anger faded and was replaced by something else, relief. For the first time in my life, I didn't carry the weight of their expectations. I kept in touch with my grandparents. They were the only family I had left, but it was enough. They were supportive, understanding, and as disgusted with my father's actions as I was. As for Ethan, I never contacted him again. I wasn't angry with him, it wasn't his fault, but I also didn't see a place for him in my life. Whatever relationship he and my father wanted to have was their business. Isabella sent me a long email a few months later, apologizing for the things she'd said. She admitted that she had been selfish and that she didn't fully understand what I was going through. She asked if we could start over, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. Maybe one day, when she's older and more mature, we can have a real conversation. But not now. My father once tried to reach out to my grandparents. He told them he'd made a mistake and wanted to make amends. They told him to leave me alone. It's been almost a year now, and life is quieter. Simpler. I got a promotion at work, started going to the gym regularly, and even picked up a new hobby, hiking. I bought a second car, not because I needed one, but because I could. It felt good to spend money on myself without guilt or judgment. I don't miss her. Not the way I thought I would. Cutting ties was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was also the best decision I've ever made. Sometimes family isn't worth the pain it causes, no matter how much society tells you otherwise. Now, when I think about my future, I don't see them in it. And honestly, that's okay.